Hi, it's Dr. Parikh, and today we're going over the syllabus. So this syllabus is very specific to fall 2020. Everything in pink is specific to what I'm anticipating for pandemic issues. But we'll go through. So our meeting times are Monday, Wednesday, 1 to 2:15. Most of the time when we have in-class meetings, it'll be on Wednesdays. It's possible that I might open up Mondays for meetings as well, just to get more discussion and interaction, but honestly, I'm assigning a lot of videos, a lot of, sometimes lectures, sometimes other videos, sometimes other readings, all kind of anticipating that covers your time for one of the days in class, and I'm asking you to do discussions. So it's not like you're getting shorted on interaction and content. It's just that I'm trying to limit the time that we all need to be present, just to make this semester a little more manageable for everyone and to take advantage of what we have, because lectures are kind of lectures. And I like to do my lectures in a more interactive way to kind of build them around students' questions and interests, but that's a lot harder to do in an online format. It's just in general a bit harder to get participation from people. So I'm pre-recording. That's my plan, at least. Worst case scenario, I will come to classes on Mondays and just record those. But my hope is to keep a couple weeks ahead on recording lectures and things. So our times are Monday, Wednesday. Typically we'll do Wednesday, and it works out nicely because it creates a pattern where you make a post on Mondays, and then Wednesdays you either follow up on your posts or you come to class. But also Wednesdays are the day that I have the most backup childcare. So I'm Dr. Parikh. You can call me Dr. Parikh, Professor Parikh, Dr. P, all of that I'm comfortable with. And my pronouns are she, her. My email address, and also, I thought about giving out my cell phone because things are weird and you might need to get a hold of me. But instead, I'm going to encourage, if you have a short question and want a just real quick response, use Google Chat, because that comes up on my phone just like a text would. And I have some very active, essentially like texting groups, but they're on Google Chat. So I think that'll work well. And then if you call my office phone number, it forwards to my mobile phone. So these both do make noises on my phone, so I prefer not 3 a.m., especially to call me. The Google Chat isn't so bad. Email, on the other hand, doesn't make noise on my phone. You can email me any time of day. As long as you don't expect an immediate response, you can email me anytime. Office hours, what day is it? It is August 16th as I'm making this. I still don't know. Tomorrow, my daycare is supposed to announce, finally, whether they're actually opening on September 1st. I'm terrified. And so I'm waiting to set my office hours. If I do have childcare, then I will probably set a lot of daytime office hours. If I don't have childcare, I'll probably set most of those to be after my son goes to bed. So 8:30, because it's just really difficult. It's just difficult. No matter what, you can always find the most up-to-date options if you come here. The cool thing is your calendar will show in the background. I just don't have much on my calendar to show up. But, that's just an odd time. At any rate, you click here, you can choose any appointments that are open. So if I have to change it midstream, you can see whatever's really open. And the other nice thing is, if I have some sort of personal emergency, because I think this fall we're all going to have a few more personal emergencies than usual. If I do need to cancel, I can see exactly who had planned to meet with me, email you to let you know. And then you also, because you had scheduled an appointment and I couldn't honor it, you would get priority for times to reschedule. And if my office hour times don't work for you and you want to meet with me, just let me know. Sometimes I can make a same day happen, but more often, if you give me a few days, in advance, I can make it happen within those few days. So try not to wait until the last minute. We only require one book. And here I will... let's see, my copy looks like this one. It is very reasonably priced, and you are very likely to be able to find a version in your library. This is, I think, like a revised edition or a special anniversary, like the 10-year edition. If you find an older edition, that should be fine. I don't think they did a lot of changes to the text. But please do get this. I have the first chapter posted just to give students a little time to find the book. But especially when I'm using such a reasonably priced book, I really don't feel comfortable posting much more than that. Normally I say you can come see the book in my office hours, yada yada. That's not really a thing right now. If you absolutely, if you're really nervous about how to get the book, again, you can get it for like $10 or $12, maybe less. And really a lot of libraries do have a copy. But if that's too big of a barrier, contact me, we'll start brainstorming. So again, I'm just assuming that there's going to be a lot of chaotic things that are happening to you all and to me. And so I've highlighted everything that's kind of specific to the pandemic in my pandemic pink. And I also want you to know, whatever is happening, my two goals, my first goal is to be flexible, and my second goal is to be interactive. So I want this, I love this course. This course thrives on discussion and examples and application. One of the things that we really enjoyed doing last year that I hope we're able to build into our live classes this year is watching movie clips and kind of pausing and talking about what we observe, what we see happening, what's going on in those relationships, in the communication. So I'm hoping to be able to do that when we do have our live meetings. Let's see. So again, typically Monday is just going to be your time to free up some time to do your posts, to watch the lectures, things like that. And then Wednesday's class time, your choices are to, these point structures are no, that's not how I'm doing it. Sorry, let me just clear this up right now. So each week, participation is worth 20 points. I'm not using a video. You can come in. I'm just doing audio. A lot of stuff like that is going to happen this semester.
I'll just come later. Don't worry.
Okay. It's a weird semester. Sorry. So, can you close the door?
Yeah, can you let me know when you're done?
Yeah, it'll be a while.
Oh, well? Okay. Cool.
Sorry. Sorry, there's no good way with the program I use to pause, and I really don't want to get into video editing. So I lose my place and weird things happen. So for attendance, the way it's going to work is you can either attend and interact, or you can do discussion boards. If you attend and just lurk the whole time, if it's just once and you're normally interactive, I'll probably let it slide, but on an ongoing basis, it's typically not going to earn you points. On the other hand, you don't need to get full points every week because your 3 lowest weeks get dropped. To reply to peers' posts. Sorry, I'm there's a lot of revision, a lot of kind of trying things out and seeing what's working. So I apologize for that little confusion. So for participation, everybody does their first posts on the discussion board for each thread or for each forum. And then your option is to come to class or respond to peers through the discussion board. And you can change what you're doing week by week. So I'm really trying to offer the most flexibility possible to offer a high level of interactivity, live interactivity for the people who want to come to class, and I hope you come to class. This is a great class for interaction and live discussion. But on the other hand, I recognize that a lot of other people are going to have a lot of things coming up over the semester, and some people, I'm not the only person with a child in the house, whether it's, your child or a sibling or, a niece, nephew, godniece or godson, whatever the relationship is. I know a lot of other people have a lot going on, either a young child that needs care or an older child who needs help with their schoolwork. I know computers can be in short supply, and so I wanted to make things as flexible as possible. So course goals, overall, we are going to talk about kind of how do interpersonal relationships work, what do healthy relationships look like, what do unhealthy look like, and especially we're going to talk a lot about communication within those relationships. We're also going to, so basic relationship skills with a focus on effective listening and communication. And we also want to talk about culture periodically. I don't tend to do a single, here's the unit on culture. I try instead to address it throughout. I don't know if I'm as successful in this course as I would like to be at that. But for this semester, I'm also trying to keep the readings and things simple for most of the course. At the end, there's a lot of little things, but for the main section of the course, it's pretty reasonable reading expectations. As with every psych course, we are working on knowledge, on understanding research methods, and critical thinking skills. Diversity statement, particularly in a class like this, I'm going to make this a little bigger. I don't think you need to see as much at a time, and I want you to see the text a little more clear. Particularly in a class where we're talking about relationships and communication, it is very important that we are all treating each other with respect and really appreciating what makes each of us unique. It's up to you what you disclose about yourself. Some differences are very visible and easy to see. Others are not. And I also want to recognize that the land, although we're not meeting on campus, we still function because of our physical campus, which is on the ancestral home of the Lenape people. So thank them for caring for the land. Attendance, this is a little weird this time. So in this case, I'm considering attendance to be coming in and interacting within the course as far as the absences. If you have an illness in your household or yourself, or something else that's really going to make it hard to participate for more than 1 week at a time, it really helps me if you let me know. There's a few things that happen when people go missing. I try to track them down, and so it saves me that time and effort from trying to chase you down. If you're able to just send me a short email saying I need to step away for a couple weeks. Also, it can help me get you connected with resources within the university and do what I can do there. And it also helps me because it's always easier to plan ahead of time than to try to make up a new plan later. So I can help you kind of prioritize what assignments to focus on and how to do things. If there's ever a time, if we're ever doing a recorded hangout, I don't know that I'll do those very often because there's things like I don't feel as comfortable when I'm streaming a video and recording it. But if we are recording, it's always a good practice just to say hello in the chat because there's a record of the chat, and that makes a really nice record that you were there. Participation, I think I may have talked about this in the welcome video, I'm not sure. But the ideal participation is that you will be in a very calm, well-lit space. You'll use headphones, you'll mute when you're not talking, and you will have a very sort of simple, calm background that's not distracting, that really lets us focus on your face. That is the gold standard. Get as close to it as you can, but if you need to have your video off for part of the class or the whole class, I'm typically not going to have a problem with that. And if I do, if there's a particular time when I want people to turn on cameras, I'll explain why. If you don't have a camera or know that you won't be able to turn it on at all, it's helpful for you to let me know just so that I don't wonder, why is this person never on camera? It's fine if you've got, a little bit going on in the background, a cat coming up, a kid coming in your lap. If my son is home and awake during class, he will probably be in my lap at some point, because we find that for my child and our household, if we try to keep him away, he just becomes sort of obsessed with getting in. Whereas if we just let him come in, crawl in our lap, say hi to our friends, and see what's going on, and then he'll often play sort of near our feet for a little bit, and then he doesn't care anymore, and he'll go with the other person that is supervising him. So, small interruptions are fine. If he's absolute chaos, I might turn my video off at some point. And it's, you can certainly participate in the text chat. It's great to have audio options, but I also know, especially with a lot of people, sometimes it is more comfortable to slip your comment into the text chat, and then I can kind of referee and bring those comments out as there's opportunities. Please always be respectful of other students, and it's okay to make mistakes. Where the problem is when someone tells you that you're making a mistake and you double down. That's really where the problem comes. And if there's ever a time, I work pretty hard to try to make sure students feel protected and supported. If I miss something, if there's maybe coded language that I didn't notice, or something going on in the background while I was distracted, or maybe something in the discussion boards that I'm not noticing, because I often, rather than looking at the whole thread, I'll often look at all of a student's responses. So if there's ever anything that I am missing, please let me know. If you don't feel comfortable telling me directly, you could email. Normally I say you could slip something under my door. That's not going to work so well. But you could email our secretary, Carolyn Mitchell, and tell her that you would like an anonymous message passed on. And you can say, you could tell her someone else in class asked me to pass this on to you, for you to pass on to Dr. Parikh. Blackboard I use quite a bit. I'm going to make a separate video that goes through Blackboard. Make sure when you submit things that it's a file that Blackboard accepts and will do plagiarism checks for. So for example, for papers, if you upload a Pages document, it's not going to be able to do the plagiarism checks and to enter it into the system. So papers need to be in Word or PDF format. If you write in Google Docs and would like me to make comments in Google Docs, I will say Blackboard's comment system got much better over the summer. I was very excited to see that. But I think it's often still easier to make comments and things in Google Docs. So if you prefer that, just include a link. Make sure that you've given me editing privileges. Class format. So this semester, I've told you what the format is going to be. Keep in mind, it's very likely that something will have to change. I might have to switch the days of the week that we meet. You'll notice I don't put specific due dates anywhere except Blackboard, because because I'm worried that I'm going to have to change them. And if they're in a lot of places, that gets really difficult and really confusing if I miss any of them. Whereas if it's all just in Blackboard, it's one place to change them. I will never make papers or assignments due earlier, only later. But I may have to make some changes. And I'm trying to give a nice balance between interaction and flexibility. We're not meeting in class face-to-face, but just for consistency and in case magically something happens where suddenly we all are able to switch to face-to-face, I wanted to have the policy in here of, oh, that one got missed. Office hours are going to be completely virtual for, I think, everyone this semester. It's really helpful if you make appointments. And I make, if my office hour times don't work for you, just give me some options to work with, and I usually can make at least one of them work. And this is just kind of talking about how office hours work. I really like meeting with students. I like being helpful and problem solving, and I care about your success. So really I do kind of talk about what is appropriate and what's not, but all of these things, like, I'm happy to go over an assignment with you. So if you have a draft and you want to look at it together, that's something I'm happy to do. Or if you're really struggling in the course and you want to think about how to do better. I'm always happy to do those things. Counseling resources, we have our counseling center. It just occurred to me, I don't know if they are doing virtual counseling, which is what most people in places are doing. I will look into that and perhaps make a note on things. This course talks a lot about relationships and communication and what goes wrong. If you have any history of relationship difficulties with people in your life, or of anxiety, depression, really, anything that you've struggled with, this is the kind of course that can bring it up. And it could be, things that you are struggling with more. It could be things that haven't bothered you in a long time or suddenly coming up. There's also the effect that, time really changes how we view things, and especially when you hit new developmental milestones. So for example, when you go to college, or when you, kind of hit a different stage of adulthood. So, hitting your mid-30s or something like that, or becoming a parent. Anytime you have these big changes, you kind of you reevaluate what's happened in the past. So things that happened that you know about and you think you're okay with, you might see it in a different light. You might be reminded of it and then reinterpret it and now have to deal with it again. Or things that, that never bothered you may suddenly seem different. So just keep that in mind as you do this course, that you may, and if it happens, don't be surprised. If you're not sure about counseling and whether it's going to be helpful for what you're experiencing, I'm always happy to talk with people about that. My background is counseling psychology. I'm not licensed. I have not practiced since grad school because it's really tough to get licensed part-time, and I really like teaching and would rather do that. And if you call the Wellness Center, you certainly can find more about what counseling is. Closings, that's just kind of standard. I don't know. I suppose if there's a lot of power outages, I might change class format, but I think most likely if there is something like that happens, like a big hurricane or a snowstorm that knocks us all out for a bit. First of all, I live in Morristown. My power is the first to go out. But also, our class already has so much flexibility built in. Probably all I would do is say, hey, I'm going to give you all a little extra time to turn things in, and we'll just have everybody do discussion board stuff this week. Email, I often respond really quickly, but I also, right now I do have more things that come up. So if you don't get a response in about 2 days, send me a follow-up, just in case it gets eaten by my inbox. If you have a really short, specific question, You can send it over Google Chat. Sorry, my voice is not cooperating right now. If you're asking me about things like a due date, I'm going to have to look it up in the syllabus. So I'm going to say it's on Blackboard because it would take me just as much effort to look it up as it would take you. On the other hand, keep in mind, this is a very different style of course than usual. And I'm not just changing this course to be in this remote format. I'm changing all of my courses at once. So so I kind of get mixed up what I'm doing in which class. There's likely mistakes. And so if there's ever a discrepancy, please feel free, actually don't just feel free, please email me and reach out so that I can get it fixed and avoid other people getting confused. Whenever possible, send me screenshots of what you saw because that really helps me diagnose it much, much faster. And then I just kind of talk through here, kind of imagine, if you want a really fast response, imagine that I'm reading it on my phone while pushing my kid in a swing at the park or while lying in bed about to go to sleep. And try to imagine what information and format I would need to answer the question. So if you're asking me to clarify an assignment from Blackboard, copy and paste or screenshot it. So course evaluation, I still have a late work policy here. I don't know yet how strict I'm going to be about this. So I would recommend try to be pretty timely early on. And then depending on how things go with the semester, I'll let the class know where I am with late work and penalties. And you can always ask me. I've already added a lot of flexibility in. So if you miss 1 week's discussions and then reach out to me early the next week saying, oh, I see I got a 0, I didn't mean to. For the most part, I'm going to say, look, you get 3 freebies. Just let that be your freebie. Partly to avoid creating a lot of extra work for me. Because anytime I have to make special arrangements, it makes a lot of extra work for me. But also, the more I do special accommodations, the harder it is to make sure that I'm treating people fairly equitably. On the other hand, this is why I really would like to know early on if you realize, if someone in your home is diagnosed with COVID, you're probably going to have a lot of extra stress for several weeks. And so it's really helpful for you to let me know and we can kind of plan out that flexibility. I'm going to make separate videos that go over each of these kind of assignment blocks. One thing I want to draw your attention to is that there are no exams or quizzes. And so this class, there's several things where you're applying a lot of ideas from class. And that application happens in a lot of the discussion boards too, the weekly participation. So almost half the grade comes from 2 movie analysis papers. And again, these are really where you're showing the knowledge that you've built. You're also going to read, write up, and lead a discussion about an empirical article related to a topic in class. And then you're going to do a genogram project. That can be on your family or a different family. It could be a fictional family that you want to write up, a real family that you want to write up. And I also, I have some resources about where someone else has done genograms on famous families. And so you could do that and kind of add some sources of your own. So that's where the points are really coming from for the course. And I'll go over these in more depth later because when they're buried in the syllabus, I think it makes it a little harder to find it when you want it. So I'm going to try to make separate videos that just talk about it so that when you want to know what's going on, you can click on that video. Now this is outdated. I need to change that. And then academic policies, please don't cheat. Let me see, I think. Yeah, so for the movie analysis selection, students, I've said you can work individually or in small groups. So don't cheat, just work together if you want to. But please email me ahead of time, just so that I know what's happening. And for the most part, it should be fine. If you have 2 or 3 people, the same assignment should be fine. If you have more than 2 or 3 people, I would like you to suggest to me how you're making the assignment more complex, to kind of balance out the number of people you have working on the project. Because with 2 or 3 people, honestly, just coordinating the project takes about as much work as doing everything yourself. But I think it's much more interesting work. And I think you get a higher quality work because you are working together and you have someone to bounce ideas off of. By the time you get up to 4, 5, 6 people, it's much easier to break the project up and have each person doing a small piece. So, and for this, you could be, it could be doing longer transcripts of multiple characters. It could be bringing in new empirical articles or other sources to help analyze the films or the interactions that you're looking at. So there's a few ways that you can increase the difficulty for larger small groups. I'd forgotten, yeah. So for article discussion leader, I've also said small groups. I think actually I'm going to make this pairs for the articles. If you have a small group that really wants to work together that's more than 2 people, you can email me to check about it. I would probably be open to if you approach me about doing the alternative genogram assignment in small groups or pairs as well. So I want to show you 2 other documents that help. So normally I include a schedule at the end, but for this semester, so this is my only class I'm prepping that I don't have an online version of. And I really liked being able to adapt my online versions of other classes for this remote format. So I've essentially made up this class in an online format. So if you've taken an online class with me, you'll see a lot of the same resources, a lot of the same structures. So I've done each module will go for 2 weeks. And I've put the dates up here that the module will run Monday through Sunday. And you'll see all the discussions and assignments that are going to come up due in that period. So there's no specific due dates, but you know roughly what you're working on in this time frame. And Blackboard has all of the specific due dates already. And then I have our remote meeting schedule, which is just kind of a reminder of when we're meeting and what our focus is that day. So for now, the plan, and I like Google Docs because I can update them when the plan changes. So for now, we are completely meeting on Wednesdays. If that changes for some reason, I will, of course, let you know. But I hope we get to keep it this way because I really like the pattern of you have extra time on Monday to do your initial posts, to watch the lectures, and then you come on Wednesday ready to discuss. And it's about these chapters. This book is short. I mean, you can look. It's just a little paperback book. It's like 230 pages, something like that. So this is not a lot of reading early on. The last couple weeks, there's a lot of short articles to kind of skim through. But for most of this, it's not terribly long and deep reading. So I show you what's happening, but remember, this is not. It's really not a list of the assignments and the due dates. Right? So that's our syllabus. It's a little unusual for this semester, but I think it's going to work well for what we need. If you have any questions, please email me. If you have a question, it's very likely that someone else is going to have a question too. Thanks.